Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to The Pulse. We are live from our studios here in Kokumlimle on your digital terrestrial TV because, of course, we are free to air. We're also on DSTV channel 421. On GoTV, we're on channel 144. And, of course, you need to remember we are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. This afternoon on The Pulse, police open full-scale investigation into the alleged kidnapping of a 29-year-old woman in Takoradi, declaring the incident a possible self-kidnapping. The woman is now a suspect, while 3 others have already been arrested. This afternoon, there are reactions from the community where the woman lived after police also declared she was not pregnant during the period she claimed to be. As government races against time to get nominated MMDCEs confirmed, the minority in parliament is threatening to drag the finance ministry back to the Supreme Court over its inability to release funds to the assemblies. Also in this package, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobne Nim calls for national conversation on the rapid increase in Greater Accra region's population. We have details as he reveals that the population has risen to the level where so many people are living in close proximity to each other. We speak to authorities on how to deal with this drift. Let's get started.
Hello, my name is Nathaniel Atto. You can catch up with all the fun and inspiration on the Joy Sports link here on Joy 99.7 FM, together with all other shows over and over again. It's very simple. All you need to do is go to myjoyonline.com/podcast and relive all of those fun moments over and over again. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
My name is Koje Yanks and it's a pleasure to be with you. Now, the Ghana Police Service says it has arrested 3 persons in connection with the alleged disappearance of one Josephine Penyin-Mensah. The police say Josephine Mensah is also being treated as a suspect as they investigate a case of possible self-kidnapping. A statement issued reveals thorough investigations by the medical experts show that the woman was not pregnant in the period under review. Let's take a look at the statement. Of course, this is headed Reappearance of Missing Pregnant Woman at Takoradi in the Western Region. 1. The police in Takoradi in the Western Region can confirm the reappearance of one Josephine Penyin-Mensah. 2. On the 21st of September 2021 at about 9:30, when she reappeared, she was immediately sent to the Axim Government Hospital for medical attention. We also informed the family in line with our procedures. 3. Since her disappearance, over 40 police officers were specifically assigned to track the whereabouts of the victim, and the family were given regular updates on police operations regarding this issue. 4. These police operations with the associated investigations were carried out on a 24-hour basis, and we want to commend the officers who have been working on the case for the commitment, including the sleepless nights they endured. 5. Following her reappearance and on the basis of our preliminary investigations, so far the police wishes to state the following. A. Police is heavily relying on medical experts who have examined her. Their findings are that Josephine Penyin-Mensah was never pregnant within the period under review, following thorough medical examination by the medical doctors at the Axim Government Hospital. It continues. B. The victim, now a suspect, during interrogation mentioned the European hospital in Takoradi as the hospital for her antenatal reviews and assessment. Medical records at the facility suggest that the lady visited the hospital without pregnancy somewhere in October last year. C. Investigations also suggest the suspect may have conspired with other persons over her possible planned disappearance. D. 3 people have so far been arrested for further questioning on possible conspiracy charges. E. Police would like to inform members of the public that adequate measures are in place to ensure she is safe as we continue our investigations. Point number 6, more worrying is the fact that for a number of years, the regional command has recorded several false kidnapping cases where people conspire to create self-kidnapping incidents to make money out of ransoms. 7, a team with support from the national headquarters has been put together to quell this emerging crime in the Western region. And 8, we wish to give the assurance that we will continue to revise our security strategy to protect the people of the Western region and the rest of the country. And this, of course, is signed by ACP Kwesi Ofori, who is the Acting Director General for Public Affairs at the Ghana Police Service. Now, this afternoon, there have been protests at Zenith, which is a popular area in Takoradi where the woman at the center of the kidnapping incident operates a shop. Neighbors are incensed by the statement from police this afternoon declaring the woman as a suspect in an alleged self-kidnapping conspiracy. Now, our correspondent in Athalia Kwansa was there. She brings us this report.
What you see it and believe it. They will not look at that. And the other child there, Japata, the woman you come. He said, another one, he said, letting it anyhow. And everyone got a penny on you, said, no. Yama would you go? Nanano, your floor. Your family from your floor. Yama won't sound. Now, so your farm, Yadamo. Why then there? Some of your level there. Say your friend, your friend and Anum, your friend paying for. That's a painful. Say, well, I'm here to quite a paying listener. I did for me. One far, that's what for Abuano Abla when you're Jade. Say, regional minister, only Mr. Semu, on an assemblyman, and I look for Mr. Semu. That's what to be Jonah Kade. Say, oh yeah, then a penny on you say, regional minister, now go to your senior on in there.
Police, and they say that they are not happy with what the police is doing. They have just poured a libation and said some words of curses on anyone who is said to have, said that Josephine is not pregnant. The family still stand on that. They can't believe that their daughter, their relative is pregnant. They said they will go to any length to make sure that they prove what they are saying.
Earlier today on News Today, I spoke to ACP Kwesi Ofori. Here's what he said.
Following a conspiracy theory that we suspect. And as I speak to you, we are investigating that matter. But to recap our position, is that on the 16th of September 2021, when Josephine Mensah was alleged to have disappeared, we quickly marshaled a 40-member team to locate her. A lot was done in that respect. We did a lot of media engagement. We did a lot of media intervention to assist to locate this lady. And lo and behold, the public assisted. Immediately, we sent her to the immediate government hospital, that is the Exim government hospital, where she was treated. There are follow-up stories in the media, social media, among others, saying she had delivered and the baby had been taken away by someone. The police quickly asked the medical authorities to conduct a thorough investigation to determine whether she was pregnant and not delivered. And men of competent mind and knowledge at the district hospital quickly conducted that investigation and reported to the police in writing that there was nothing of that sort and that she was not pregnant and has not delivered per their medical details and practices. Right. In view of this, we further questioned, and the lady in further said she had all her antenatal treatment care, among others, at the European hospital, being the regional medical facility at Takrady. Investigators proceeded to the hospital, and records available indicate that the last time she visited the hospital was October 2020 and reported an ailment and has nothing to do with pregnancy. So by so doing, there is no record as she claims. And we are suspecting a conspiracy theory, and we are investigating this matter. We moved her position from victim to suspect. And so far, we've arrested 3 people.
Right. And have you arrested her husband?
All that is, the police are at the moment investigating this matter seriously. And in our second update, we might come out with those we've arrested. But we would like to state one thing, that we rely heavily on expert opinion. It is not the police that is saying she was pregnant, she was not pregnant, and he has not delivered. It is an expert opinion, and these doctors are members of GME, Ghana Medical Association, and by the law, evidence, and the criminal procedure, makes police to rely heavily on expert opinion, should even the matter appear before a court of competent jurisdiction.
ACP Kwesi Ofori speaking to me earlier. Now, our correspondent in Nathalia Kwanzaa has been all over this story from the very beginning. She joins us now via Zoom for more and, of course, the latest developments. Thank you for your time in Nathalia. So, what exactly is the latest now? We know what the police have said. We've heard from the family members. Have they moved any further towards each other?
No, Kojo, as of the last time I checked, nothing really new has happened. The family are still just holding on to what they think is a pregnancy. That's the perception they are holding on to. They did hint of a press conference they were going to organize tomorrow. So for now, there is nothing new.
Now, when you were with the community and the family members at the time, they were incensed and throwing curses. They were insistent that Josephine Mensah was pregnant. What were they pointing to as their evidence of this?
Yes, Kojo, so they kept on saying that they saw her pregnancy from day 1 till the 9th month. I asked them, where is the antenatal booklet that she used to go to antenatal with it. And they were saying something like on the day that she went missing, she had it on her while going for the walk. And that is something they said. I wanted that I asked them, so where does she usually go for her scans? Do they have evidence of her scan to prove that she was indeed pregnant? But they couldn't prove any of this. All they said was Josephine will be in the best position to tell us where she goes for her scan and where her antenatal book is. So for them, they are only basing their claims on the fact that they've seen her tummy protrude over the months, but they are not saying that based on any medical examination or any facts. They couldn't show me anything, either an antenatal card or something to, say that indeed she was pregnant. But we're saying this based on what they have seen over the months.
Is Josephine Mensah's husband still around?
Well, when I went to the house this morning, the family members were claiming that the police have arrested him and his mother-in-law. So I did not meet him in the community. I did not meet him in the lady's family house. I did not meet him in his own residence as well.
Right. So at this point, the members of the community are insistent, in spite of the police's statement. Have they issued any ultimatums? Are they calling for any action?
They haven't issued an ultimatum, but what I know was that they said tomorrow they are going to hold a press conference at 12 midday. And so for now, we wait, cross our fingers to see what happens tomorrow.
Natalia Kwanzaa, thank you so much for that update. She, of course, is our Western Regional correspondent. Right now, let's go over to the phones where Member of Parliament for Wa West, Superintendent retired Peter Lanchene Tubu, who was the former Executive Secretary to the former IGP David Asante Apietu, joins us. Superintendent Lanchene Tubu, thank you for your time. Perhaps we can get some education from you on police procedure, because we keep seeing in the statement initial preliminary reports, it would appear that the police themselves are not yet firmly at a conclusion of what has happened, yet they are issuing statements. Is this the norm?
Thank you very much, Kojo. Good afternoon to our cherished listeners this afternoon and the viewers. Unfortunately, that my constituency, the network is a bit bad. I wish I could have been on Zoom. But all the same, let's try to see what we can do to contribute a little bit of education to support the investigation of this case. Ghanaians are quite interested in this matter because kidnapping in the region is becoming a bane. It's a serious matter. And in fact, it is a security concern for the police as well as the citizenry. So anything about kidnapping should be of interest to all of us. Police procedure is simple. You take the lead, act on the information, and try to gather enough evidence to prove that there is a crime committed or otherwise. Basically, that's what we do. In criminal investigation, it's supposed for you to have evidence to prove that a particular crime has been committed. If the elements of the crime cannot be found, the ingredients of the crime cannot be found, at least you have investigated, and you can advise otherwise. The policing is not just all about enforcing the law. Sometimes also about educating the people to understand the position of the law and the role that the police play in enforcing these laws. The Takoradi case is quite an interesting one, and I've been following. What happened in Takoradi? Somebody is alleged missing or reported missing. Of course, the job of the police is to protect life and property. The police will be interested. And the police will go all out to find out how can a whole human being get lost. One, was he kidnapped? Was she murdered? What happened? Has she run insane and probably she's lost unconsciously? Whatever the challenges are, the police will have to investigate to unravel the mystery. And I've been told that the police regional commander said they deploy over 40 people to support community members in search of Josephine. And finally, Josephine was found somewhere around Axim. Now, the controversy is whether she disappeared pregnant and reappeared without a pregnancy, or she never had a pregnancy at all and she disappeared. The other issue has to be, was it a stage matter? Was it a pre-planned thing? Did they pay ransom before she was released? Is she in link with the criminals so that they can pay ransom and they will later on share? Is she a traumatized person who will require some time to be able to be very sane for us to interview her? The fact that she said she attended European hospital, at the point that she was making this statement, is she lucid enough? Is she stabilized enough to be able to make a statement that can help the police? On the other hand, a pregnancy is a common thing, my brother. Unless otherwise stated, if you are pregnant in the community, everybody knows that you are pregnant. And everybody knows that sometimes you are not even the only pregnant person. There are other people who are also pregnant and you attend antenatal clinic together. And all this documentation, I'm sure that if Josephine comes back to her very normal position, she'll be able to help a lot. But let's not intimidate her. Let's not intimidate the family. And let's not cause confusion. And finally, we may lose some of the facts that would emerge. I was a bit surprised to hear the regional minister making an emphatic statement that the lady wasn't pregnant. Even if she wasn't pregnant and it is a statement to be made, it shouldn't be made by a regional minister. You're stifling the effort of the police. Right now, are the police trying to work in defense of the regional minister's position because her credibility is on the line? Or the police are doing a very fair job to unravel the mystery surrounding this whole kidnapping issue? You see, you create doubt in the work of the police. The politician creates doubt because you have made a statement that is so emphatic. And they think that as the chairman of the Regional Security Council, you have a lot of information. But are you the one who is supposed to be speaking? That is the question.
That's an interesting analysis, Mr. Lanchene Tubu. And I'm interested in this aspect. You asked a question. You said, could the police now simply be working to corroborate what the regional minister said? As a former police officer who operated at the very highest levels, executive secretary to the IGP, educate us. Is it possible for the police to put aside all of the facts of a case in a situation where perhaps there might even be a baby in danger somewhere, simply to corroborate what a politician has said? Can the police do that?
My brother, there is nothing impossible under the sun. If you deliberately want to be unprofessional, you can be unprofessional. And if the police want to be professional, you see, criminal investigation now has become so scientific that if you have the science to back you up in your conclusion, when you do a presentation as the position of the police, everybody listening to you will know that the police position is backed by science. It's not just hearsay. It's not just corroborative evidence alone from what people are saying. But there is some scientific base to corroborate what they have gathered so far. I'm sure that if we go through why would the hospital not come and say, was it the only hospital she ever attended? And even in October last year, if she had attended that hospital and they said yes, she came here in October at the time she wasn't pregnant, that hospital is correct because from October to September this year is more than 9 months. What it could mean was that Josephine probably got pregnant after that October. And probably she never went back to that hospital. And probably the state in which she is now, she's not actually speaking as a normal person. Can we allow her to recover? And let's take our time to investigate this because it could have wide-range implications. If actually she has connived with some other people to create this whole thing, for whatever reason it is, we need to unravel it and make sure that we nip it in the bud and stop other like-minded people from going through such things because they create panic in the society and give a lot to the police to do. A lot of unnecessary things for the police to do. You don't create your own crime and stage it, and you have the whole state apparatus getting involved to investigate it. It is quite disappointing. But as to whether the police want to corroborate what the regional minister said, as to whether the police are unraveling the mystery behind it, time will tell. Let's just allow them to do their professional work. And I think that, we have some independence in this whole matter. This is a medical case. It's a medical-related case that will have to be gotten by the police as a piece of evidence for us to be able to conclude on the crime committed or otherwise. So let's allow some time to pass.
Is that your suspicion, though, that perhaps this is all being done to corroborate what the minister said?
That would be a bad suspicion. It's just a statement that I made that it's a possibility, but it cannot be my suspicion. I want to believe that the police will do what is right. And when they do what is right, the evidence will be so telling that any normal person listening to the position of the police will believe that the police have investigated and the facts that have been unraveled is unparalleled and is the truth and nothing but the truth.
But so far, you are not yet convinced that that's what is happening.
So far, the police have not concluded. So my convincing limit is still open.
All right. Now, what would your advice be for the family members? What can they do to ensure that the work of the police is, done to its most professional standard, and that the truth is what they get at the end of it?
Thank you very much. Security is a shared responsibility, and I've always said that if we don't share the responsibility, then let's be prepared for all of us to take part in the act of irresponsibility. If we don't share the responsibility, we will not be able to arrive at conclusions that will say that our laws are working. Let the family support the police. Let the police be open. Whoever is involved, let's support the police and arrive at the final conclusion that can make a lot of sense to all of us as Ghanaians. Because this is not a matter that is so complicated to be investigated. All the agencies available to support are available. The family is there, the medical team is there. Wherever the regional minister got his conclusions from to make that statement, the regional minister is there. Let the police do a dispassionate job, and when they draw conclusions, I'm sure if the family do not even believe what the police are doing, there is a possibility to take the woman just into an independent medical facility for them to ascertain, was she ever pregnant before? Was she pregnant for 9 months? Because if you lose your baby after 9 months, there is no way medically you cannot be proven to have been pregnant. So I don't get it. And if she was not actually pregnant, it is very clear that it will be proven. What was she hiding from her husband to be telling the husband and family that I'm pregnant for 9 good months? What was she looking for? Let's allow investigations to be conclusive. Then we can make better comments.
Mr. Lanchene Tubu, thank you very much for your time. That, of course, is Superintendent Retired Peter Lanchene Tubu. He's a member of Parliament. He's on the Defense and Interior Committee of the House. All right, let's now speak to Adib Sani. Mr. Asani is a security analyst. Welcome to The Pulse, Mr. Sani. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure, Kojo.
So now, Takoradi is, it's agitated. The community from where this lady comes is up in arms. Help us understand, as we speak, are there concerns to which the police should be addressing their minds? Is there potential for things to go sideways?
Kojo, obviously, we are, I don't know whether consciously or unconsciously creating a storm in a teacup, which is completely needless. However, it brings to fore two major issues that needs some critical, analysis. One, this is a rather straightforward, simple case that we seem to have complicated, and we have everybody talking about it. However, there's one thing we need to know, okay? A crime is one thing, and the aftermath, managing it, is another thing. And if care is not taken, the way you manage the aftermath might even...
Right, Mr. Sani, if you can adjust your microphone there, it's difficult to hear you. Can you check that your microphone is unmuted? Right, we may have lost contact with Mr. Adib Sani. We'll seek to re-establish that connection. Mr. Sani, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Mr. Sani? Yes, if you can hear. Yeah, we lost you for a while there. If you can just resume that point from the last 20 seconds of it.
Good.
I think we have some difficulty there. We will fix that line and bring Mr. Adib Sani back to complete his contribution. But I'll tell you what else we can do in the meantime. If indeed the police is accurate and this lady has made up a pregnancy, what could make her do so? Let's speak to clinical psychologist Note Dua, who joins us via phone. Mr. Dua, thank you very much for your time. It's always a pleasure to speak to you.
Hi, Kojo. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Right, okay, so we are seeing on social media several posts from doctors who claim that this actually happens more often than we think. Sometimes women fake pregnancies. But why?
Right. Kojo, let me just put on record that I'm a bit reticent about speaking on this issue. I agree with, one of your callers or respondents.
Mr. Dua, we want to hear you a bit clearer. Can you come a bit closer to your phone? Your voice seems a bit... There you go. Perfect.
Right. So I just want to say that on record, I'm a bit reticent commenting on this because the facts of the case are still pretty fluid. right? And so to jump straight to what would make somebody do X or Y, I can see where the pitch is, but I want to make it clear that all these are without prejudice to the facts as they emerge.
Understood.
I have heard that a woman went missing. I have heard that a relative or a husband or a spouse received or was told by somebody about a demand for ransom by alleged kidnapper. I have also heard that subsequently the woman has been found or did re-emerge and has been reunited with her family and then subsequently arrested on the basis of preliminary examinations that have been done. Now, the fact is that the understanding we have is that this woman was 9 months pregnant. We all know the durations of a pregnancy, and it may go beyond that. So this is something which is verifiable. Currently, after her reappearance or reemergence, there is no indication or no verified indication of pregnancy. I'm speaking from what I've gleaned from the police statement. So this raises several questions, right? The claim of a ransom demand needs to be verified, and the person who made that claim also is subjected to due legitimate police procedures or criminal or legal procedures. As to the woman, and if we want to go into the realm, Kojo, of why would a woman fake a pregnancy, there are so many reasons which may or may not apply to this specific case. Okay?
Yeah.
So a woman who's having difficulties bearing a child or conceiving and so on and so forth, and nevertheless, either through direct social stigma or self-stigma, may start, some pretension to pregnancy and so on, right? Again, in this instance, you are looking at somebody who is psychologically disturbed or at least stressed to the point and frustrated to the point that they will fake a pregnancy in response to the factors that I'm, relating, right? That's one side of it. The circumstances of this particular case seem to suggest that there may be some ulterior motive, which is yet to unfold and be verified, right? If that is the case, then you are looking at somebody seeking to gain some illegitimate or illegal or even criminal gain from this pretense. And that's why I'm saying that these are all speculated and may not necessarily directly apply to the case. We have cases of people who steal babies or baby stealing syndicates, and we know the factors involved there.
Right.
There's a demand for the babies, and of course, there are criminal minds at work. So those are the things we can look at, right? There's a condition where a woman may falsely believe that she is pregnant and may even go to the extent of experiencing some of the physical symptoms to some extent. Again, all of these are physically and clinically verifiable. So the good thing, Kojo, is that this woman is now in the hands of the authorities. I would hope and pray that she's receiving all the support and care whilst the intriguing circumstances are being investigated. I have heard also that the community collaborates this story that she was indeed pregnant. And again, all this is subject to verification, Kojo.
Okay, now at this point, she is under the supervision of the police. We haven't been told yet whether she's been arrested and charged with anything. When I spoke to ACP Ofori, he didn't give that detail. However, whichever the case may be, the police are saying that they are providing her with psychological counseling. What would you assume to be the state of mind of somebody who is in such a situation right now?
Could you really love me to speculate? It's unprofessional sometimes, the absence of clear facts and details. But really, I did hear that she was able to write down a phone number I did hear also that at the point that he was, how should I say, he re-emerged or was seen by somebody, he, at that point, momentarily was mute or unable to speak. So that would raise questions as to the mental state of this person at the point, and even currently, as you interviewed me. I do have no doubt that this will be properly ascertained through clinical assessment, both physically and mentally. So we should be able to arrive at that. If there's any reason to believe that at any point in time, in the period in question, that she was not in full control of her faculties or that her mental state was compromised, it will go a long way to accounting for the features that we are hearing and seeing.
Right.
So the important thing is that if she at any point in time behaves irrationally or in a bizarre manner and so on and so forth, or we find that her speech, her thinking is incoherent, illogical and so on and so forth, these are things that they are trained professionals, and I do have colleagues in the central and western region that are well able to do, and there are police psychologists as well. So this can be verified, and then the next steps can be taken.
Right.
So if they are providing her with the necessary support and counseling, that takes care of that side of it, which could be that she may very well be a victim of her own mental state or the machinations of somebody else or others, or she could be somebody who works or came up with this in collusion with other people. And again, I say this with clear emphasis on not being prejudiced to the lady or the family or anybody involved.
Understood. Mr. Notidua, I want to thank you very much for your time with us this afternoon. Notidua is a clinical psychologist. Right, we were able to reconnect now with Adib Sani, who's a security analyst. Mr. Sani, hopefully our connection is a bit stronger now. If you wouldn't mind just making that point again.
I'm sorry, I should have put my phone on airplane mode. Usually when you're on TV, then they see you, everybody tries to call. I don't know to what end.
Understood.
But that's okay, that's okay. So basically what I was trying to opine is we are creating a storm in a teacup because of the way we have mismanaged the aftermath of the crime, which I must say could even be injurious to more than even the crime itself. Because in the first place, it's not in the position of the minister to come out to give out that information. I do appreciate the fact that he is the chairman of the Regional Security Council and so should be privy to some information. However, I'm pretty sure that this information was given to him in confidentiality. Unfortunately, in the frenzy of the movement, he had to let it out, which I must say is what has added to the bickering and the issues that has culminated as a result. And secondly, and I think this is food for thought, especially for to the IGP, this whole affair exposes certain dark truths in our society, specifically our relationship with the police. In the past or in other jurisdictions, I mean, amidst all of these bickering, immediately the police comes out with information or a statement that closes the deal. But this is the case. The police has come out to categorically state that, hey, our preliminary investigation has suggested that she's not pregnant and she's no longer a victim, but a suspect. Some other persons have been arrested. But we still have the community coming out in their numbers to say, no, the police is lying and the police is making an attempt to cover up for somebody. All of this is in the wake of the statements made by Mamitiwa Adedankwa some time ago about the Takoradi girls, saying that we know where they are and we're going to find them. In the end, it amounted to nothing. So that has created some kind of a disconnect between the people on one hand and the police on the other hand. Unfortunately, the police should be the institution we should all look up to, and what they say is final. Unfortunately, on this occasion, a lot of Ghanaians don't seem to trust what is coming from the police, and I must say that is quite disturbing.
There has been some speculation that perhaps the police is just trying to tidy up a dirty situation, that this matter somehow invokes memories of the Takoradi girls, and so the police simply want to make it less of a problem than it is, and are therefore seeking to downplay the whole situation. With your experience of security matters, could this possibly be something that the police would engage themselves in?
Well, I'll be shocked if the police, especially under IGP Dampari, engages in such an exercise. Because trust me, if it turns out that indeed the woman was truly pregnant, I'm sorry to say we might have to give up on the police. And I don't think the police would want to risk their reputation when we haven't still forgotten about the temporary girls and come out with such information. So for me, I am convinced that indeed the woman was not pregnant. However, this is a rather simple matter we seem to be complicated. And I'm pretty sure that in the absence of that trust in the police by the people, when this issue goes to court, the court would order an independent, so to speak, medical laboratory or practitioner to conduct an independent test to ascertain the truth. So it brings up, it brings the matter to a halt. Unfortunately, it is quite sad that the police has come out with this information, and still we have a lot of Ghanaians not trusted in the police. I have personally gone on social media to gauge moods. I've gone to your social media page, and I mean, when you look at the comments, the kind of things people say, the conspiracy theory, the needless bickering that has characterized this rather simple issue is quite disturbing. And I think that IGP Dampari has a lot of work to do in restoring the trust of the people. If not, it will be difficult for them to exercise or fulfill their mandate under the law.
Now, with your expertise in security, at this point, the police are admitting that these are preliminary findings. So even by their own admission, this is not conclusive.
Absolutely. However, you see, you are a communicator, Kojo. So I'm pretty sure you would even be in the best position to really dissect and dissect the whole statement.
I suppose the question I was going to ask, if you don't mind, because our time is running out, forgive me, but the question I was going to ask was, if indeed we are to take this to be preliminary and not conclusive, should the police not still be pursuing the possibility that there is a newborn baby out there somewhere in danger?
Well, Kojo, the thing is, time is of the essence. However, it is quite clear, and that's exactly what I was trying to say. You are a communicator, that the police has concluded on the fact that the woman truly wasn't pregnant. You see, investigation is not like a sports game. You don't give live commentary every step of the way because it has the possibility of compromising the whole investigation. But for the fact that the police comes out to give such an important information means one thing and one thing only. They have concluded, and that is their fact from their side. It is left for a court to decide what to do next, and perhaps we will get a lot more Ghanaians to trust or believe in that process.
Mr. Adib Sani, thank you very much for making the time to speak to us this afternoon. Adib Sani is a security analyst. Now, let's do a few other stories. As government races against time to get nominated MMDCs confirmed, the minority in Parliament is threatening to drag the Finance Ministry back to the Supreme Court over its inability to release funds to the assemblies. More on that when we come back from these messages. Stay with us.
What's up, guys? My name is Sammy Forson, host of the Weekend City Show and Ignition right here on Joy 99.7 FM. Well, anytime you happen to be busy and you miss out on your favorite shows right here on Joy FM, here's what you can do. Log on to myjoyonline.com/podcast. Just go on there and you'll find all your shows on demand 24/7. There you can catch up. Remember, Joy FM remains your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
You're welcome back. It is emerging that the various assemblies across the country have been starved of resources since the fourth quarter of 2020. Now, this is because the statutory funds have not been released to the local assemblies. Already this situation appears to be stalling development at the basic level, defeating the purpose of decentralization. Head of our research desk, Raymond Aqua, has more. Here's his report.
The Constitution of Ghana requires that government is intentional in providing the necessary resources to local authorities. This is for their management and execution of policies. The specifies that at least 5% of national revenue must be allocated to the fund every quarter. According to Deputy Ranking Member of the Local Government Committee, Benjamin Podo, government has failed to pay up since last year.
The Assembly has a duty to do development projects in the constituency.
Okay.
All of this, nothing is happening any longer. Yes, nothing is happening any longer. So it's not just a question of one which has not been completed. There is nothing new happening. As we are sitting here now, the Ministry of Finance is owing the Common Fund about 1 billion Ghana cedis.
On this part, NPP MP for Otafo, Vincent Asifwa, clarified at least the MP's part of the fund has been paid for the first quarter.
Yes, for the first quarter of the MP's Common Fund. For me, at Otafo Municipal Assembly or Otafo constituency, I have received first quarter of the MP's Common Fund.
Speaking to me on upfront, the whole Central MP who dragged government to the Supreme Court insists this move is in clear violation of the orders of the Apex Court.
That is what they are doing, and we are even saying that if it continues that way, we will have to go back to the Supreme Court to clarify the ruling that they gave and insist on compliance.
Well, as of February this year, Deputy Finance Minister Abnawase Asare had promised the ministry had commenced processes to settle the arrears. It is, however, unclear when government will finally fulfill this promise.
Now, between May and September this year alone, the taxpayer has had to pay upwards of 10 million Ghana cedis for President Akufo-Addo's trips abroad, including his recent trip to the United Nations General Assembly. This is according to North Tongue MP Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, who has filed another urgent question in Parliament demanding full disclosure on the cost of the President's latest foreign travels. He puts the cost of President Akufo-Addo's recent trips to the United States aboard a luxurious jet at 3.7 million Ghana cedis. Now, there is more in this News Desk report.
It's really shocking, I must say, that the Ghanaian people can be treated with such presidential contempt when the dust is yet to settle on the Airbus AC J320 new Skybat scandal, now infamous for the ministerial acrobatics in Parliament. Words of North Tongue MP Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa in the latest article on the president's recent trips. There is renewed public outreach as it emerges once again that Ghanaians will cough up another 3.7 million cedis to fund a private charter of a luxurious aircraft for the president and his team to travel to the United States to participate in the UN General Assembly. Already, Mr. Okudzeto-Ablakwa has announced his intention to file another urgent question to demand full disclosure on how much the president's charter trip is depleting state resources.
Why is our president not using it to save money? 10 million Ghana cedis, hoping 10 million Ghana cedis for just 3 trips, in the space of less than 3 months. I can assure you that we will pursue these 2 other recent trips.
The presidency has, however, declined comment, saying the matter is an issue of national security. They also confirmed, however, that Liberia President George Weah used the country's presidential jet for the ECOWAS meeting here in Accra, granted based on a request made to the office of Ghana's president. An online video we have cited show the Falcon landing on the tarmac with the inscription Republic of Ghana, with Liberia President George Weah in white apparel stepping out of the presidential jet. When the ministers of Finance and Defense, Ken Oforiatta and Dominic Netiwol, appeared before Parliament on the cost and whether the presidential jet was fit for purpose when the matter came up earlier this year, this was their response.
Mr. Speaker, the President's domestic and international travels are matters to do with national security. The National Security Minister is really best placed, Mr. Speaker, to furnish this honorable House with the details needed.
When the president is traveling with more than 20 people, he will need more than just a Falcon. The president, in fact, has to go a day ahead because no president can shower in this aircraft. You cannot freshen up in this aircraft. So you cannot move from this aircraft straight into a meeting.
The question now remains whether it has become absolutely necessary to demand a national policy on presidential travels similar to what pertains in other jurisdictions. Will the National Security Ministry provide details on the presidential travels so far? It remains to be seen how it will all unfold when Parliament resumes sitting.
Now, member of the Council of State, Samuel Okujeto, says the constant attacks on the president over the cost of his travels is not productive for the country. Speaking to JoyNews, Kwesi Parker-Wilson, he argued that the citizenry spends more time criticizing the travels than looking at the benefits derived from them and their impact on the country.
To Germany, that was you and cry. Why is he traveling? He takes this expensive plane and it costs so much per day.
Expensive plane, it will cost so much. I mean,
no, the question
the
is
economy is struggling.
No,
and you need money to
this
fix
is
the
part
economy.
of the stupidity of the Ghanaian media, which you do not understand what diplomacy is all about. Diplomacy is an expensive process, but there are always benefits. The president cannot sit down there in Jubilee House, and you be thinking that all these things will become
a bit cheaper. I mean,
no. What is the cheaper way?
That the president can.
He was invited by the people there, so he has to go.
You could have looked for an aircraft
no,
that is less expensive than what it is.
Which of you know which the cheap aircraft are? You see, this is the trouble. I said we spend more time criticizing instead of looking at the benefits that come to us, because we don't even study the system.
So, because I'm saying there was nothing wrong with the president.
I am not here to go and to talk
that
for
is
the.
very expensive.
I am not here to
at the
talk.
expense of the economy.
I am not here to talk. What economy?
The economy is struggling. He himself has said it, that the economy is struggling.
Of course,
we are not trying to recover.
The economy is not
so
only.
It's expected that the president would try and then minimize the expenditure.
Please, the question I kept telling everybody is that heads of states all over the world, they are traveling. He is not the only one. All the economies in the world, including America and the rest, they are all struggling. In fact, if you look at the deficit in Britain, the percentage to the gross is much higher than that.
That is why we need to manage our expenditure. Baseline.
No, I am saying that you can say that, okay, you did this, why didn't you do it this way? Okay. But when we just go on this wholesale attack daily, I don't think it is productive and helps the country. This is what I'm saying, that as a nation and a people, we can agree on certain basic principles so that we all operate upon it, instead of this attack.
Samuel Okujeto speaking there. He, of course, is a member of the Council of State. Now, if you ever had any doubt that this Takoradi woman story is the biggest in the country right now, here's even more proof. We've got more. We're joined now by ACP Kwesi Ofori, who is the spokesperson for the Ghana Police. He joins us now with some interventions. ACP Ofori, thank you once again for joining us. What's the latest?
The police would like to clarify a position based on the discussions you had with the security experts. What the police is saying is that a team of doctors at the Azin District Police Hospital came to a conclusion that having examined Josephine Mensah, they pointed to the fact that she was not pregnant and that she has not delivered a baby. It is the position of the hospital. It is not the police that has put up.
ACP Ofori, we're losing you. The line is not very clear. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I think it's better now. So you were saying that it's the position of the hospital.
It's the position of the Azin government hospital, the doctor, that came to that conclusion. It is not the police that is saying it. And it is an expert opinion. And in contemporary policing, police count so much on technical expertise. And these are people who have the skill, the expertise, the knowledge on who is pregnant and who is not pregnant. and who are delivered and who are not. With that necessary information. So I believe that as communicated, we should put things right. Secondly, we again said the lady and her family said the European hospital, which is the rape hospital of the Western region, was taking care of her, providing care. Hospitals have not clearly they've submitted to the police that is not true, and that the last time the lady visited was done.
ACP Ofori, we're losing you again. Can you reposition yourself, please? You're making a very important point that we want to catch. So you were telling us what happened when you spoke to the European hospital in Takoradi. Can you please go over that detail one more time? But of course, he was at that last point there speaking about what the police learned when they interacted with the European hospital in Takoradi. Now, according to the police statement, item B under point number 5 says the victim, now a suspect, during interrogation mentioned the European hospital in Takoradi as the hospital for her antenatal reviews and assessment. Medical records at the facility suggest that the lady visited the hospital without pregnancy somewhere in October last year. I believe that is the detail that ACP Ofori was shedding some more light on. And we are working to reconnect with him so that we can understand what that clarification is. But so far, what he has explained since he started to give a clarification is that the information the police has put out stating that the woman was not pregnant is information from the hospital, the Axim government hospital that examined her. It is not the police that is saying that Josephine Mensah was not pregnant. It is the Axim hospital and the experts there who are saying this. We are rejoined by ACP Kwesi Ofori. Thank you so much for your patience. Hopefully our line is a bit clearer now. If you can just go over that detail about what transpired when you went to the European hospital in Takoradi.
Yeah.
ACP Ofori?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. The police took her to European hospital following her discharge at the district government hospital. And at the European hospital, which is the regional hospital for the region, stated among others, as you indicated, that they are not in business with the lady regarding any antenatal treatment or pregnancy care. And as such, a report has been submitted to the police to that effect. What we are doing is we're going to seek another opinion at the apex level. The police are unbiased, we are very professional, and we are doing everything possible, to establish the truth. Nothing but the truth. And we are not into any kind of scam, to abuse the integrity of this young woman. All that we are saying is this is from the expert, from evidence.
Right. We must apologize for the quality of the line there. It keeps breaking, and so we keep losing contact with ACP Kwesi Ofori, which is a pity because he is making some important clarifications to the statement that was issued by the police on the matter of the woman who disappeared in Takoradi. ACP Ofori, let's try one more time, hopefully get a clearer connection. I hope you can hear us. Right. Okay, so we're working to reconnect with ACP Ofori so that we can get the conclusion of his statement there. But so far, as you have heard, he provides the clarification that the information they've put out regarding the fact that the woman is not pregnant and was not pregnant is the information of the Axim Government Hospital and the medical experts there. That is what they are saying, and the police have put that out. But following the examination at the Axim Medical Hospital, they took Josephine Mensah to the European hospital, where she told them that she has been receiving antenatal care. According to ACP Ofuri, the hospital have issued a report to the police which says that they have not provided antenatal care to Josephine Mensah. We are hoping that at a future time we'll be able to reconnect with ACP Ofuri for further clarification, but this is what we know so far. Let's do some more stories. The Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Owusu Efiri-Akoto, has dismissed reports indicating that the country is currently experiencing a food shortage. Interacting with Evans Mensah on JoyNews' PM Express, the minister argued that what several players in the agric sector have bemoaned is actually low stock and cannot be described as food shortage.
Usual, you always find around this time when farmers begin planting, that's when stocks of grains are their lowest and prices go up. And you can look at the statistics. We are the ones who compile these statistics over all these years. You can come and look at our books. It's very clear that it's a cyclical. Every year at around this time is the highest.
So it's factual to say, as we speak, there is some shortage?
Not shortage. I wouldn't call shortage. Shortage of what? You have to define what is short. The stocks are low, prices are very high because stocks are low.
Stocks are low is shortage, is it not?
No, it's not shortage. I wouldn't call it shortage.
What is shortage?
When shortage is when human beings, in spite of what money you carry, you can't get food to buy. That's shortage.
There is short supply of what we normally
No, but
have on the market.
no, that's what I'm saying. That's seasonal. If you say shortage, all these countries are now coming to Ghana to pick their grains. Why? Because there is shortage in their countries. That's why they have to go elsewhere. In Ghana, we are exporting. So there cannot be shortage. You cannot deny yourself food and sell your food where you will go hungry. So that's evidence enough. And we have the statistics to show. There's exports of 19 different 13 different crops that we exported, 130,000 metric tons in 2019, where we have the full year. We are compiling for 2020. Of course, 2021, the jury is still out. But it cannot be shortage.
The Agric Minister there interacting with Evans Mensah. Now, he also accused former President John Mahama's brother of scrounging government-subsidized fertilizers targeted at smallholder farmers in the country. Dr. Owusu Efiri-Akoto said that former president's brother is a commercial farmer cultivating 300 acres and does not qualify to benefit from the fertilizer meant for poor farmers.
In the UK, Yara, which is one of the biggest producers, are closing down their plants. Why? Because there is not sufficient natural gas. And they are speculating that because of that, there's fertilizer shortage in the UK, which will mean reduced yields and shortage of food next year. This is the United Kingdom, one of the most developed countries. So if they are facing shortage, and we don't even produce a bag of fertilizer in Ghana, we have to import totally everything that all our requirements. If they, the producers, are facing shortage, is it any wonder that Ghanaian farmers are facing shortage?
So John Mahama was right then when he said his brother couldn't find fertilizers and as a result has reduced his own production and yield and projecting that next year we might have shortages. He was right, wasn't he?
No, he was totally wrong. First of all, the subsidy is not meant for his brother.
Because his brother is in
commercial farming.
Yeah, but
listen, no, wait, please. So he's exposing himself.
You know his brother?
Fertilizer? No, I don't know any of his relatives.
I'm just wondering how you know it is commercial. He was in commercial farming.
Because he's doing 300 acres.
So you
by
know,
definition, no, I don't. How would I know his farm? Okay. I'm saying that if he's doing 300 hectares.
I'm just curious how you know the hectares is his farm.
Because he said it.
Okay.
You just mentioned it.
Yeah. So from what he had said himself.
But what else can I? What are you talking about? No, I'm saying this is what he said. His brother, and you said it. You mentioned the figures. Yes. Why are you running away from them?
I'm just checking if you knew about it. I mean,
how would I know?
It won't be strange.
No, I mean there are millions.
Greek minister.
Listen, I'm a Greek minister. There are over 3.5 million farmers in Ghana. Yeah. You expect me to know everyone? Please.
I'm just
I may be a genius. I get it. I may be a genius, but not that much genius. I don't know.
So your argument fundamentally, he doesn't qualify for the...
No, to start with, the subsidy is meant for farmers with 2-3 acres, that's all, which is the bulk of smallholders. Not for 300 acres, for goodness sake. So he has actually scrounged on the poor farmers to start with, if he was able to do 300 with subsidized fertilizer. So what I'm saying is that what Mr. Mahama is saying cannot be true. It cannot be. In any case, we are talking about millions and millions of farmers. You understand? For him to make that conclusion from one observation, it means that when it comes to statistics, he has absolutely no clue.
Now, the continued dumping of plastic waste into gutters is having a toll on coastal communities in Accra, as many lagoons have become choked. The Chemu Lagoon, one of Accra's largest, is almost dead now, and residents of Choko, the city's suburb where the lagoon joins the sea, say the pollution is breeding mosquitoes, bad stench and cholera. My colleague Justice Bedu has been there.
Those who have lived here long enough say time was when this now dead lagoon was a green space where fishermen could come with their canoes and catch fishes like tilapia. Even those in their mid-20s reminisce good old days when they too could come here as children and even swim.
Now, the Chemu, once the beating heart of Choko's landscape, is choked by filth, mainly rubbers and plastic bottles. The consequence is dire.
As you can see the sea over there, the sea is, I don't know how God created that sea. It don't like that. So no matter how dirt you put inside, it will drop it back for you.
Ebenezer Kobina is 21 years. In Choko, where he lives, everyone calls him Wendy Shea. He's a prolific footballer. 2 years ago, he decided to quit playing in part because he had no support, and the beach, the only place they train, had been taken over by plastics. And clearing it like this every day before they play was a tough job.
When it is raining and the rain is heavy, you see that the water moves faster. And when the water moves, it comes straight to this lagoon. So, it is raining. To waste my money to give them, let me dump it here so that it can move. And that's the way too they used to dump the rubbish inside the lagoon.
Choko's battle with filth and plastic is now at alarming levels, and the people here say the rest of Accra continue to dump their mess on them.
My name is Theophilus Isaac Nikpakokwe. I'm the Choko Assembly member.
Theophilus Kwe too used to play at this beach. Now, as assemblyman, he's fighting to stop the dumping.
All the way from Santa Maria, Dakuman, Odoko, Dansoman, the rich communities, their prime areas at the top, they are punishing Choko. They are creating mess in Choko indirectly. When there is outbreak of cholera because of the filth, it moves into the community and then affects so many people.
Children as young as 8 walk through these plastic dumps scavenging for plastic bottles to sell. Many of them have left school to do this. Accra's lagoons have all reached death points according to environmental researchers, mainly because of pollution, and the people of Choko, like the many other communities that lie by these water bodies, are the ones paying the hard price. Justice Baidu, JoyNews, Choko.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, there is an urgent need for a national conversation on overcrowding in the Greater Accra region. That's according to government statistician Professor Samuel Kobina Enim. In the latest census figures published by the Ghana Statistical Service, the Greater Accra region has overtaken Ashanti region as the most populous region in the country. The first time since the 1970s. Professor Kobina Enim spoke on the AM show.
This is indeed one of the striking things that as a country we should pay attention to. I mean, Greater Accra's population density, which we define as persons living in every square kilometer, is over 1,678 or 1,658. Yesterday in the presentation, I said, let's literally interpret what a square kilometer is. If you think about a square kilometer as 1,000 meters, so a square of 1,000 meters, and you have over 1,600 people living in that, it means you have about 1.6 people, 1.6 people literally living in every meter. So about 2 people living in every meter. Okay. Think about this from the perspective of how diseases can easily spread. So it is not just a matter of the pressure on the land, but it's a matter of the pressure and the implications of the crowding that we are getting in Greater Accra. Yeah. Greater Accra is the only region that between 2010 and 2021, population density, we are seeing a change of 442 persons per square kilometer. When nationally, we are seeing just about 25 persons per square kilometer. And this calls for a national discourse on how we are concentrating everything in Greater Accra, and the big question in there is the inequality. Because we all talk about poverty, but nobody talks about inequality. But what we are presenting now clearly presents inequality, so therefore people are moving from one area to another area in search of whatever resource they think it's there. So there's clearly concentration in the southern part of the country, but much more concentrated in Greater Accra.
Now, Professor Enim also explained that 1 in every 5 structures in the country is uncompleted. While here in the Greater Accra region, metal containers and wooden containers contribute to a huge chunk of the structures in the region.
The provisional results, Ghana has 10.7 million structures. And I'm always careful how we carry these messages along, because if you don't define the concept of structures very well, people might interpret it as conventional buildings and put other interpretation to it. So from our point of view, a structure is any independent or separate building or an enclosure which is at different levels of completion. It means that it could be fully completed or uncompleted, and also which is movable or unmovable. So in that space, we have different types of structures, i.e. conventional structures or conventional buildings for that matter, that is made of concrete, concrete, cement, mud, and the others which we call non-conventional, that is metal containers, kiosks, wooden structures, and the last group is other. So the 10.7 is made up of all this. And out of the 10.7, we were able to identify those that are used for residential purposes and those that are used for non-residential purposes. Obviously, we had a number of uncompleted buildings that we were unable to determine whether they were going to be used for residential or non-residential. And of the 10.7, 9.8, we were able to make a determination of it. And out of that, clearly we had 55% out of that being residential, that is where people are staying, and the 45% being non-residential. The other thing that we did, as I indicated, is the different types of structures. And this is where we need to begin to think through it as a country in terms of the structures that we have and its implications for housing. As at this stage, we are not defining the housing deficit. Right. But clearly from yesterday's results, we put out there that 1 in every 5 structure that we have in the country is uncompleted.
And that's a significant.
1 in every 5 structure is uncompleted. And this is predominantly found in places that we all expect to see them, i.e. Ashanti region having the highest number of uncompleted structures, obviously followed by Greater Accra. And what happened in the space of Greater Accra is, although it had the highest number of structures, of the 9.8 million structures that we had, 2.1 of them are in Greater Accra. Besides that, you find that 15% of the 2.1 structures are metal containers.
Okay.
So all the metal containers that we have in the country, 15% of it is found in Greater Accra. And if we move to wooden structures, more than 50% of the wooden structures that we have in the country are also in Greater Accra.
Now, my colleague Maxwell Agbagba went to the ground. He went to Kofi Krom, a slum community here in Accra, where residents say they're forced to live in kiosks and other makeshift structures because they can't afford the high cost of rent.
It's in the heart of the capital, Accra. Well, people who live here have been compelled to live in these wooden structures. Many of them tell me that they are unable to afford the high cost of rent in Accra. They say that they have to pay 70 Ghana cedis monthly to live in these shacks. I've been speaking to Alhassan Abubakar. He's a driver and says his wife and children live with his grandmother, but he has been forced to live in this kiosk because he cannot pay.
If you want to go and rent room, it's too much of money. If you want to go and take it somewhere, they say you have to pay 2 years, 3 years advance before they will give you the room. They will handle the room to you. So we don't have that money. That's why we come hard ourselves for here. The way we knock some small kiosks, where we be inside, where we be sleep. Where we take some give some people. Where that people to know, they know if they go rent that room to know, they not figure money where they will go rent that room. So our room to know, where we not come to know. A week, a month, we they take a month 70 Ghana. But we they take 3 months. 3 months because of houseless. Everybody no get some. So 3 months, if you calculate them, then you pay, so that we handle the room for you. Okay. So if you do inside 3 months, if the time reaches, if you want to renew to her, so that you renew back to again. Because of the why we rent out at 70 Ghana, the plywood is cost. Oh, like if I get money, like somebody will go hold me, like me to I get my work where they do, and we will stay here.
I've also been speaking to Moro Abdullah. He's an Okada rider. He has also been compelled by his financial situation to live in this kiosk here.
I'm from Kumasi, where I come Accra. I did my uncle in there. I was like 7 years back. Still, I don't have money to rent room. So that's for me to rent. I see myself, so now I grow. So I supposed to leave my uncle and come hustling place, and come and hustle myself. Okay. So that's why I'm here. I try hustle to find some money and go and buy wood and come and do my own room.
Forget about formulating new policies and implement existing ones. That's the charge by Education Minister Yao Osei Adichum to the newly inaugurated boards and committees under his ministry, swearing in the new board of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. The minister noted that the over-concentration on drafting policies with little focus on ensuring implementation is robbing the country's educational sector of real growth. With a gross tertiary enrollment of 18% up from 16% in 2017, Yawase Educhum wants the board to lead the pursuit of government's goal to achieve a 40% gross tertiary enrollment by 2030.
On average, is about 7%. Sub-Saharan Africans about 7%. Ghana is 18%, but we should not be caught up in the African mediocrity syndrome. That says Ghana is better than Sierra Leone, Ghana is better than this country, therefore we are okay. No, we are not, because South Korea is 93.6%, and we are 18.8%. So the president's vision is very clear. His agenda is clear. It's left to us to put in implementation measures to get to that point. The Ministry of Education, at this point, is not interested in policy. We want implementation. So you should, as council members, understand that everything that you have been tasked with is about implementation. Your Director General should come to you at your meeting and report on implementation.
Now, the minister also tasked the tertiary education boards to facilitate the establishment of a job placement and incubation center to assist in the linking of students to available job openings.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has invested a lot in TVET. And as you go around the country, those of you who are new to this council, you're going to see the kind of equipment that are in technical schools. Sometimes you may not even find them in the universities. But I'm asking myself, are we tracking how many students are able to secure jobs as a result of this training? We seem not to be interested in that. We want to see that to the Ministry of Labor. No, it should stop. We should be interested in tracking how many students are able to seek jobs. And if they are not, who are the ones coordinating at the various institutions so that they can actually secure jobs? If a company in Ghana wants employees, where do they go to? If AGI members say we need 20 people that can do Thailand, who do they talk to? Is there one agency that they can work in and say, can you bring me 20 students and I'm willing to hire them? Together with GTech and National Service, I'm going to task you with the setting up of the Ministry of Education Job Placement and Incubation Center. Even if other universities are doing it, that's what I'm looking at. You should have a place where people can go and look for your people who you have trained.
Now, let's take you to Germany, where elections are taking place this weekend as they seek a successor for Angela Merkel, who's ending her term soon. Now, the DW's Thomas Sparrow is joining us from Berlin for the build-up. Thomas, thanks for your time. Why is this election in Germany so important?
This election is particularly important because it marks the end of an era, 16 years of Angela Merkel as German Chancellor, and it marks as well the beginning of a new era for Germany and for Europe. This might sound normal, but it's certainly not how things usually work here in Germany, where power is defended or lost at the ballot box. But Chancellor Angela Merkel had already decided in 2018 that she would not be a candidate again this time round. So this makes this election unique, very different. Another element that makes it very important is the fact that it's so unpredictable. Until now, the three major parties have led opinion polls at a certain time, but the differences are very small. And no one would actually want to predict what will happen on Sunday when 60 million Germans go to the polls. So all this makes this election not only very interesting and very important, but also very exciting for people who are interested in what happens in this part of the world.
Now, Thomas, talk to us about the main candidates vying to replace Angela Merkel.
There are three candidates that are hoping to replace Angela Merkel as Chancellor once the new coalition government is formed. On the one hand, Armin Laschet, who's the Chancellor candidate for Angela Merkel's Conservative bloc and who would probably continue with some of Angela Merkel's centrist policies. Armin Laschet, however, has suffered recently in the polls, and many here in Germany do not believe that he would be the ideal candidate to replace Merkel. Then there's Annalena Baerbock, the surprising Chancellor candidate for the Greens. Annalena Baerbock and her Green Party actually also led the polls, specifically at the beginning of the campaign in the spring, but she as well has suffered recently in the polls, and it seems unlikely that the Greens would be in a capacity to lead the next German government. And then there's the Social Democrats, who were in a very deep crisis a few years ago, but that now have taken pole position and are now the favorites to lead Germany's next government, in particular considering that Olaf Scholz, their chancellor candidate, is seen by most Germans as the ideal candidate to lead Germany in this new era. However, it's important to stress that Germans do not elect their chancellor directly. Germans instead vote for parties who then have to form coalitions, and as a result of that formation of a coalition, the new chancellor is decided. So although the three chancellor candidates certainly play a very important role in voting and what parties people vote for here in Germany, it is ultimately the parties and the coalition formation that decide who will be in power in the next 4 years here in Germany.
Right. Now, Thomas, let's situate this. What does this mean for Africa?
This election is not only being followed closely by 60 million Germans that are entitled to vote on Sunday, but also by Germany's international allies that are interested in knowing what direction Germany will take in the next 4 years. Germany, after all, is seen as Europe's powerhouse and plays a key role in relations towards China, towards Russia, towards the United States when it comes to a European Union perspective. And for Africa, it is also relevant. Africa has played an important role under Angela Merkel, especially in her last term in office, not only when it comes to migration or peace and stability, for example, in the Sahel region, but also when it comes to economic cooperation. You may know that Germany launched in 2017 during its G20 presidency the so-called Compact with Africa program. Its goal is precisely to enhance economic cooperation with Africa, and it has brought together 12 African countries with European governments and international organizations. It is still unclear to what extent a new German government would continue with these kinds of initiatives, but experts have pointed out that Africa will probably continue to play a very important role in Germany's foreign policy when it comes to this new era that is beginning.
The winner is still to be seen, but when will the new government be expected to start working?
One of the most important questions about Germany's election is when the next government will actually start to work. And in that case, it's important to also give some context on how the political system works here in Germany, because the election on Sunday is not the end of a process, but the beginning of a process. And that process that will begin after Sunday's vote is the formation of a new coalition government. What this essentially means is that political parties, depending on the result that they receive on Sunday, will sit down, try and find compromises, and then ultimately sign a coalition government with all the key policies that they plan to bring forward in the next 4 years. This is a very difficult process, also a process that can take a long time. You may remember that Angela Merkel took 5 months to form a new coalition after last election in 2017. So basically what will happen in the next few months is that German political parties and German politicians will be focusing on this formation of a new coalition. It is probable that very little big decisions will actually be taken, and until that coalition is actually formed, Angela Merkel and her government will continue as in a caretaker capacity here in Berlin. So it will be interesting to see not only what results we will see on Sunday, but also what happens afterwards, how parties come together or don't come together to try and form the coalition that will lead Germany in the next 4 years.
Finally, Thomas, we're about to see the end of an era. How is Germany discussing the legacy of Angela Merkel?
Angela Merkel will only leave the German chancellery here in Berlin once a new coalition government is formed. And because it marks the end of an era, there are a lot of discussions here in Germany about Angela Merkel's legacy, not only here in Germany, but also internationally. And there are certainly different views when it comes to what Merkel achieved or what she didn't achieve, both internationally as one of the world's most important politicians, but also nationally as Germany's head of government. Internationally, Angela Merkel is certainly seen as a very relevant politician, a politician that had to deal with many international crises, from the financial crisis to the Eurozone crisis to the migration crisis, and now obviously also the pandemic most recently. And Angela Merkel is certainly seen also as a politician whose views and opinions were taken very seriously, not only as Europe's most important leader, but also more generally on the international stage. Here in Germany, there is a more nuanced view on her legacy. Germans do recognize that Angela Merkel managed to increase Germany's standing internationally, and that reveals to a large extent why she is still seen as Germany's most popular politician, as an anchor of stability. But at the same time, many Germans acknowledge that there are still many things that need to be done, that her legacy is not necessarily complete, that she didn't achieve all the goals that she had set herself in the first place. One example, climate protection. Even Merkel herself acknowledged that more needs to be done if Germany is to achieve its climate protection goals. The same applies to migration, a very difficult debate here in Germany, where some view it positively and some view it very critically. All in all, Germans would probably remember Angela Merkel as a chancellor who brought stability to the country, but that also had certain challenges and certain goals that she did not fulfill completely.
Thomas Sparrow, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for making the time to speak to us. Now, there's more to come on The Pulse Sports after these messages.
Hi, this is Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM. Listen, you don't have to worry if you miss Drive Time or Personality Profile. It's going to be live on our podcast page. Just log on to www.myjoyonline.com/podcast. You can listen to Drive Time, Personality Profile, and any other of your favorite shows on Joy FM on that page. You don't have to miss a show at all. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Many thanks for staying with us. Time to bring you sports here on The Pulse. I'm Hans Mensando, and after their exit from the Carabao Cup last night, fans of Manchester United around the world appear divided over the future of manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Despite the return of Cristiano Ronaldo, the team has struggled for consistency. Now, while they remain unbeaten in the Premier League, they lost their UEFA Champions League opener away at the Young Boys. The hashtag Ole Out featured prominently on Twitter last night after the defeat to West Ham United, but that appears to have given way to a new hashtag, Ole In. What is certain, however, is that there are doubts over Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's ability to get the best out of the squad. I'm joined by my colleague Mubarak Haruna to try to bring a bit of perspective to this particular conversation. And Mubarak, where do you stand on, Ole's position as manager, and as far as the hashtags are concerned? Are you Ole In or Ole Out?
You're pushing me to the wall, but I would go for Ole Out because he is in his third full season at the club.
Right.
And 3 years is enough for you to build a squad and then go on to win a trophy.
Right.
You've not won any trophy as a Manchester United manager. He entered in as a novice. The pressure is on him. He's been given the time to, settle in and then build his squad. He's gotten what he wants. Talk of Harry Maguire, you talk of Rafael Varane, Cristiano Ronaldo, we all know his exploits. So what is preventing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer from leading Man United to a title? We need just a trophy. And for me, I think it's as simple as that. The Carabao Cup was a realistic chance for him to go all the way and then try and win something. He has been eliminated in the last 2 editions of the tournament. I felt there should be some motivation in this year's tournament. He has to go all the way and then win it.
Well, thank you very much, Mubarak. And he feels simply that to the extent that Ole hasn't been able to get a trophy in the 3 years he's been in charge of Manchester United, to the extent that he's been eliminated from the Carabao Cup this season, he doesn't deserve any more time. It's a conversation will continue at 10:30 p.m. on Fun Zone. Do make a date, but that will be all for now. For now, though, you can read more at myjoyonline.com/sport. I am Hans Mensando.
Hello, my name is Evans Mensah, and you can relive all the fun and excitement on Top Story, Newsnight, and of course, Ghana Connect via podcast. All you need to do is to log on to myjoyonline/podcast. Search for your favorite show and relive the moment. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
All good things come to an end, even the pulse. And of course, we're glad you were able to join us. We're back tomorrow with even more. But we don't leave you empty-handed. Just go to myjoyonline.com, where every possible story from around the world which would catch your interest is right there waiting for your perusal. Until next time, my name is Kujo Yankson. I leave you in the hands of LTS.